So GU on the monthly time frame, this is definitely our supply area because of this opposite candles here. And then this is our next potential demand because of these other candles here. Okay, so these opposite candles explain to us when you have a series of one-sided candle with opposite one, that becomes your supply when it is going down. When you have series of one-sided candles, when going up, the opposite one becomes your demand. It's as simple as that. So now we are trading in between this zone. We can come to a lower time frame, and then we need to understand how price is actually playing that lower time frame, which would be the weekly. So on the weekly, let's just adjust this. Now on the weekly, this will be our demand. This is an area in which we shall want to trade from when price reaches down here. But then you need to understand that we have a strong weekly break here. So to just mark it like that, we have that. Then we have a weekly low here, which we will also have to mark. So now we want to trade when price pulls back into this area, gives us a head and shoulders, a double top, an order block, then we can trade it. And then when also price reaches here, we want to trade it when we see an inverted head and shoulders, an order block, or a double bottom. So these are the two areas in which we want to trade from here and then here. Here, of course, we buy because these are our lows, and then here we sell. So once we have that, we can just come to a lower time frame, then wait for trading opportunities. So as we were trading for these opportunities, remember what we had discussed about uh, we were discussing this incident called the Thucydides trap by Graham Allison. So it's a very important concept that has actually been uh, coined by Graham Allison. You need to check his book out. But in the Thucydides trap, he explains a scenario whereby a rising power, when a rising power the issues that a rising power generates or brings to an existing power. Like you'd have a country that is already powerful, but then there's another country that is coming, that is rising. And when this country that is rising meets the one which is already the superpower, there is usually a trap that they find themselves in, even if they don't want to fight. There's a trap they find themselves in because you can always have one power. You can always have one king. So if another one is coming up to threaten you, they find themselves in this trap, and he calls it the Thucydides trap. Now, Thucydides is known to be the father of history. He is one of the earliest historians who wrote many accords concerning the European part, the Central Europe, things to do with Greek, Athens, and all of that. So Thucydides describes, Graham described this, he calls it a Thucydides trap. So this is exactly the trap USA is in with China. We know the United States is already the superpower, but the rising of China and the speed at which they are rising has put USA and China in this trap. How would you, you need to understand how fast China is growing, economically, military, and all of that. Even though the States is still the superpower, but the growth of China is witnessed in how they develop their infrastructure, how they build bridges within 24 hours, how they build hospitals within few hours, especially during COVID. You know what happened, the hospital they built, and recently they just built a bridge, and then how they have this big impact in African politics by collaborating with many African countries. And then how they are collaborating with other powers like Russia and the rest. So this trap here, USA find themselves in, and it is something that is unavoidable. And then the peak of this trap is actually in the Taiwan issue. So if you look at China, their policy is to integrate Taiwan to be a part of them. And USA is actually playing what is called an ambiguous, like strategic ambiguity. They are there with the Taiwanese, and then they are also there with the USA. But so this trap here, people will find themselves in, and it has always been there. This trap is what actually was happening with uh, the same thing was actually happening with the Athenians and the Spartan. So if you study the Peloponnesian Wars, in these wars here we had like Athens versus Sparta. Spartans were a superpower, but the constant rise of Athenians put Sparta and Athens into that lucidity trap, whereby you're already the power, but somebody is rising constantly. So you have to do something about it because the ruler or the power has to be one. So this thing is connected to everything because even in sports, even in sports, we find ourselves in that situation. If you just look at a common example, if you look at a City, for the last 6 seasons or so, City has been the main, uh, Man City, Manchester City has been the champions. But now we have another team which is actually rising, and that is Arsenal. And Arsenal is beginning to prove that they can actually also challenge for the title. And that is the trap they actually find themselves in. So it's really important. You need to check out that trap as we wait for these trades here. So this is where definitely we want to trade. So here, when price pulls into this area, then we can look for trades. Okay, head and shoulders, order block, and stuff like that. Or else, we also wait for price here, and then we also trade. So this is what we have on GBP USD. So you can just adjust this like that, and then make it good. All right, and then this other support here. We'll see what will happen here. Okay, so and then also there was another thing.